Let me take you back to a time when gods and goddesses walked among us, when the forces of the universe were not hidden behind veils of mystery, but shaped the very fabric of our world. It was an age of celestial beings and divine struggles, where love, duty, and destiny intertwined in ways both wondrous and terrible. This is the story of one such extraordinary moment, divine birth of beloved Lord Ganesha, a tale that echoes through the halls of time, told and retold, yet never losing its power. Come listen closely and let the story unfold. Heart of the Himalayas, atop the sacred Mount Kailash, there stood a magnificent palace, shimmering with divine energy. It was a place where time seemed to slow, where the air was always filled with the fragrance of sacred flowers, and where every corner echoed with the power and grace of the divine. Within this celestial abode lived Goddess Parvati, the embodiment of beauty, strength, and love, who ruled as the consort of the great Lord Shiva. One day, Parvati, her heart seeking a moment of privacy and peace, prepared for her ritual bath. The stillness of the palace surrounded her as she thought, "How I wish I had a guardian to watch over my chambers and protect my sanctuary while I bathe." An idea sparked in her mind. She gently scraped the turmeric paste from her own body and with her delicate hands molded it into the shape of a boy. With great care, she fashioned each detail, his eyes, his nose, his lips, and his limbs, infusing the form with love and purpose. And then, with a breath as light as a whisper, she breathed life into him. Before her stood a boy, radiant with divine energy, his eyes wide and curious, as if the whole world had just unfolded before him for the first time. Parvati looked at her creation with the eyes of a mother, brimming with pride and affection. She lovingly named him Ganesha, beloved Lord of the people. One day, Parvati called Ganesha to her chambers and said, "While I bathe, stand guard at the entrance and let no one pass, not even the gods themselves." Ganesha nodded with fierce determination, his small chest puffing out as he took his position at the palace entrance. His heart swelled with a sense of duty and love for his mother. He stood firm and unyielding, his staff gripped tightly in his hand. But fate had other plans. As Ganesha kept his vigil, Lord Shiva, the great ascetic himself, returned to his palace after a long meditation in the mountains. His eyes, glowing with divine light, scanned the courtyard as he approached the entrance. There, blocking his path, was a boy he did not recognize, a child who stood tall despite his small stature. "Step aside, boy," commanded Shiva, his voice like the rumble of distant thunder. "I wish to see my wife." But Ganesha's resolve was unshakable. "No one may enter, sir. My mother is bathing, and I am here to guard her chambers." Surprise flashed across Shiva's face, quickly giving way to frustration. "Do you know who I am?" he said, his voice rising. "I am Shiva, Lord of this abode and Master of the universe. Stand aside or face the consequences." Yet Ganesha did not falter. His mother had given him a duty, and no matter the power that stood before him, he would not betray her trust. "I do not care if you are Shiva himself. No one shall pass," he declared, raising his staff defiantly. And so a great confrontation began. The mountains trembled as Shiva's rage ignited, and the skies darkened with the gathering clouds of his wrath. He drew his trident, the weapon that could shake the heavens themselves, and a battle ensued between the boy who would not yield and the god who could not be denied. Ganesha, though young and small, fought with the ferocity of a lion, his divine energy shining brightly against Shiva's mighty power. But alas, despite his bravery, the boy could not withstand the force of a god. In a moment of fierce combat, Shiva, in his divine fury, struck Ganesha down with his trident, severing the boy's head from his body. Silence fell, as if the entire world held its breath. The boy's lifeless form lay on the ground, and all was still. At that very moment, Parvati emerged from her chambers, her eyes falling upon the sight of her beloved son's body. A wail escaped her lips, a sound so full of anguish and rage that the earth itself shuddered. Her sorrow turned to fury, and the gentle goddess transformed into the embodiment of wrath. Her divine power surged forth like an unstoppable flood. "You have killed my son," she cried, her voice shaking the heavens. "If he is not restored to life, I shall unleash a destruction so terrible that even the gods will tremble." Shiva, realizing the depth of his mistake and the grief he had caused, relented. "Go," he commanded his followers. "Bring me the head of the first living creature you find, facing north." His attendants set off at once and soon returned with the head of a young elephant, its gentle eyes reflecting the tranquility of the forest it had come from. With great care, Shiva placed the elephant's head upon Ganesha's lifeless body. He closed his eyes and chanted sacred mantras, his hands glowing with the light of resurrection. The air crackled with divine energy, and slowly the boy stirred. Ganesha's eyes fluttered open, and he took his first breath in this new form. Parvati rushed to him, tears of joy streaming down her face as she embraced her son, holding him close to her heart. Shiva, looking upon the boy with newfound respect and love, spoke in a voice that was both solemn and kind. "Ganesha, you have shown great courage and devotion. As recompense for what has happened, I grant you a blessing. From this day forth, you shall be known as the remover of obstacles, the Lord of beginnings. No endeavor shall commence without invoking your name. You shall be the first among the gods to be worshipped." And so, with the blessings of the gods, Ganesha rose to his new role, his elephant head becoming a symbol of wisdom, strength, and boundless compassion. Even today, before starting any important task, be it a prayer, a journey, a wedding, or the construction of a new building, devotees invoke Ganesha's blessings to ensure a smooth and successful undertaking. His story would be told and retold throughout the ages, a tale of duty, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her son.